Okay, welcome to this video about putting together your Genie board, soldering your Genie board. When we open up the pack, we'll see what we have inside. They're all pre-packed. That there is a battery holder. We can put that to the side. We won't be using that for quite another while yet. In here we have a little pack with resistors in it. This will be the last components we'll be soldering to the board. So what we can do is we can leave them aside. We can have a look here at this. We have a battery snap, we have the download socket, capacitor and so on. So what we'll do is we'll leave that to a side. We have the board itself and we have the chips and the socket, okay, statically sealed. So there'll be no problems with it. First thing what we'll do is we'll open up the Genie board. We'll have a closer look at it here. On this Genie board here, you'll see a number of different items. They're all labelled here closely. This is where the reset button goes and so on, chips. Once we go through this, you'll know where to put them. Now, the one thing I will say before we start to look closely at this board is the resistors. The resistors all are the ones that have the numbers on them. So the 330, 330, 330, 10K, 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 10K. You can see 5 10Ks there. And you'll notice later on when we open up the resistor, they're in clumps. There's a 5, there's a pack of 3, and that will make it easier, that number there that corresponds to where the resistors will go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this bag and we're going to take out the download socket. We're also going to take out the reset switch like that. And probably for the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to put in the solder in this download socket. Okay, now the reason I say to suggest the download socket is that the spacings there's a bit of a gap between them and it might be the best one to practice our soldering on. So what we do is we place this in here like that on our board, and it goes in here, turn it upside down, and you can see the prongs coming out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to solder in these items here like this first. Now for the first soldering item, the handy thing to do here will be what we want to do is we want the solder to be in contact with the legs coming up. So we'll heat it up and then drop it on it as such, alright, or whatever way, you'll get a little bit of a technique. Now the largest components are the easiest ones to solder. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them in here. We're going to open up our chips and our sockets that we've learned. The ones we're interested in here are the 18 and the 18 and 16 socket here, okay? So as you can see here, there's a little semicircle on this. That's a straight edge here, but there's a little semicircle here. That semicircle matches in with that little semicircle there. Oh, we'll go and start again. And our 16 here like this. Push them through like that. While we're at it, we'll also place in the reset switch, and you can see the reset switch goes in here where it says research. Push that through snugly, turn them over, and it's at this place now where we have lots of soldering to do. So we can take our time and solder all these here, which would be the next step to do. When you're soldering, I'll go fairly quickly for you. The next step will be to focus on some of the components. You can wipe the soldering iron there and put it aside. The next step would be to put the chips to a side. The next step would be to look at some of the components that aren't the resistor. So we're talking about the capacitors, just this pack here. We can now open up this pack and lay them out. In this packet, what we have, we know that's a piezo sound, so we'll leave that to a side. The servo connectors, we'll leave them to the end. There's a little trick for putting them in with insulating tape. The next step is the battery snap. We'll also leave that. And now we have our capacitors, and we have our LED and our transistor. Okay, now the transistor, if we look closely at it, it once again has a little bit of a side to it that's a notch off. Now, this will be the next component in which we put in our circuit board. That is placed in right here to the if you always keep your download socket to your bottom left hand corner instead of twisting it around, if you keep that download socket to the bottom left hand corner, the transistor fits just above here to the two sockets, okay, where it says Genie E18 motherboard. All right, you'll also notice that it is cut in the shape there where it's sliced there. Now that's the way in which it should slot in there. So you can stretch out the legs a little bit, okay, pop them in, get them popping in here now for a second, and push that down through. Now you don't want to push it too hard, but you do want to get it to roughly, if you can see there how far I have it down, about there. You can straighten it up again, try to keep the board a little bit neat. Now when it's on this side here, we now need to solder these 3 legs in here like as follows. So we can do that straight away. As you can see, you'll also need a snips, because after we solder these 3 in here, they'll be too long and resistor in. So to get our snips, all we do is we come in here and we snip that there down to the butt, and this here as well, and that's how we're going to be using our snips for the next while. When that's done, we turn it over, we look at our Genie board again, and the next one we'll be placing in is our capacitors. Now, we'll put the download socket down the bottom left hand corner again. Our capacitors, there's 4 of them, and as we know, they're non-polarized, meaning that they doesn't matter what way they go in. And on the board, you'll see them marked by C. There's a C, as you can see here, C3, C4, C2, C5. Those ones there are our capacitors. So we can place them in here and we can solder them. Now these have a habit, I nearly do these one at a time, because they have a habit of popping back out. When you turn them upside down, they go back a bit. A little tip to do is, if you want to bend one leg like that, if you want to bend one leg, solder the other leg. This holds it in place so the board is nice and neat when you finish. So if I solder this leg here now, alright, that's soldered there now. The next step will be to straighten this one again. You cannot do it like that, you have to straighten it back up again and do it. But it is a handy trick for getting them. So I'd suggest the next items we put in will be these capacitors. Alright, now you can slip them together after. There's one in. I'm going to jump here to C2 like that, pop it in. So that's the last leg on the non-polarized capacitors, and they're in. Our next step will be putting these 2 items here, our capacitor, polarized capacitor, and also our LED. Now both of these are polarized, meaning that they have to be put in a certain way. The LED, in case you didn't know, as well as having one leg long, which is the positive leg, it also has a little, it's very hard to see here now, a little edge off the side that's not making it a full circle, a little slice off the side. And if we can see, similar to the way we put in our transistor, if we can see here in our LED symbol just above the download socket, you can see that slice. So what you want to make sure is that the long leg is on the inside and the short leg is on the outside. Push that down through. When you push it down through, you can see it matching up with that edge that I said was, so that will go down another, it will go all the way in this LED. You can see now that that circle is there and the edge is on that side. That there now can be soldered while we're in this position, and it can be snipped after. Will be our capacitor is here. Now the long leg is on the plus side, as we can see there, our anode, and our short leg is this side. Now in this position, just underneath the socket on the right hand side for the chip, we can see a plus sign just there. That's the one that goes into, and that pushes all the way down like that. Another way you should know it is that the stripe, that silver stripe, should be facing down the way. That silver stripe here should be facing down the way. When we get that in, again, we can turn it over. It keeps fairly upright because of the size of it, and we can solder in. Now our servo motors go in here, these 3 prongs. Now there's a little technique to this as well. If you pop them in like this, okay, I get the 3 of them in like so. If you, not masking tape, sorry, insulating tape, you get a small bit of insulating tape, you can go down here, across here, push in them like so, and make sure that they're pushed up like that. Okay, now you can also, a little tip, you can also put a little bit of weight on them to make sure that they come up, because sometimes they have a habit of rising up, so they have when you're soldering them. So when you're in this position now, you can solder these servo motors in insulating tape, and you can see our servo motors are now inside. We're moving on to the difficult stuff, the stuff that gets confusing, I suppose, and that will be our resistors. So once again, our resistors bag comes up here. We'll open our resistors bag first and we'll talk about them. In our resistor bags, we can see the following items. There's 5 resistors in one pack, there's 4 resistors in another, and then we've 2, and then what we have is we've 3 singles. So our best bet is the diode, as we can see here, is separate, it's a black one. Our best one is put in the 5, put in the 4, put in the 2, and then take our time on the last few and make sure we put these ones in correctly, as I'll be showing you later on. So what we're going to do, the first one we're going to do is probably get rid of the diode and then start on our resistor. So we'll pick up our diode, we'll put them to a side. Now our diode, again, download socket down the bottom left hand corner, just above the transistor here. Now, as we know, as we learned, this is the positive side here with the silver stripe. On our diagram here, it clearly shows a little stripe. That's the side the silver stripe should go on. So what we should do is take off our ends here like this. Okay. Bend it in here like this. Now sometimes it's handy if you have a little holder when you go to do this. Like so. Pop that in here. Push that down. Try as best you can get in the middle to keep it neat. And what we can do here is you can bend one side like that. And this is where the little crocodile clips comes in handy. Instead of you trying to do it, you can, if you want, put that there like that. And what we can do then is get a little bit of our solder on so we have our hands free, and we can solder in this one here. Now when we have one soldered in, what we need to do is we need to straighten up this one like so, and solder this one in. And again, wipe our solder iron and snip the bottom like so. That's our diode in. Now we can focus on our resistors. Now, our resistors start as follows. The best ones to put in is, if you can see, is this 10 5Ks. Now, the 10 5Ks have to be the 5Ks here, these 10K here one with the color and so on. Alright, they're the 5. So make sure you put the resistors in the right one. Again, just like I did the diode, your best bet is, and we'll put them in the same way around, the same color, so our board is kept neat. Put the other resistors off aside when you're not using them to stop a mix up. And what we'll do is we will just drop these in here like so. You can bend one leg on them. Again, like I said, if we bend all the same leg and drop them in, it will keep the board neat. So here I'm placing in my last resistor here of the 10K ones. Now make sure all the colors are the same. Push them in like so. Now if you want, you can bend over 1 or 2 to make sure they're upright. But what you want to do is you want to use your crocodile clip here on the side. Okay. And solder in our resistors. And what I mean in order is in the same color order for neatness sake. 10K resistors, I'm just chopping off their legs here. Like so. And as you can see, that's I put the download socket down the bottom left. As you can see here, that's all the 10K in here. Now the next ones we're going to do is this set of 4. Okay, so there's 4 resistors here in the next batch. We're as well to go this way and leave the last few to the end. So these ones here are 330 resistors. And if we look closely on our board here, the 330 goes as follows. There's one here, one here, one here, and just to the right hand side of the LED there's a 330 one here. So again, pop off the sides, put them in the right colored order for neatness sake. So we've done, this won't be our first time, so we've done this before. So what we can do is you can just bend these in, pop these in like so, pull them on through, pop that in. Doesn't really matter what way the color goes in this one as it's on its own. But once you pop it in like that, bend one leg. And what we're going to do is we're going to solder all the upright legs. Throw it in our crocodile clip again. And we're going to solder all our upright legs to start with. And then we can bend the other legs. So you go through them all. There'll be 4 of them to do, and then we can straighten up the other legs. Now, if we look at what's remaining, we have 3 single resistors, and we also have a couple here, a double one. Now, that's the next one we're going in. This one is a little bit different because there's only one black band running around it. They are 0 ohm resistors, and where they're placed in is they're placed in here where it says LK here and LK here. So these two will be the next one I put in. So we'll strip off the ends of these as usual, bend them in, and we'll solder these in place and we'll snip them. So to start with, what we'll do is on the 3 remaining resistors, we'll pick up, there's only one of these resistors that has a black ring around it. That black ring, we'll pick up that one, we'll bend it in place and we'll drop that one in. That one is the nearest one to go towards the download socket, whereas there's 100k. So what we can do is we can pop this one in here, and we can solder that one in place there, and then we'll move on to the next one. The remaining resistors has a double red on it. There's a double red band on one of them. That's the next one to go in place. Alright, so the next one to go in place is the one that has the double red band. That goes beside where the black one was on the 22,000 kilo ohms. So we'll bend that one, drop that one in place, and this is the one with the double red. So if we keep the double red to the bottom, so our remaining resistor, if we put that down at the bottom left hand corner again, our remaining resistor drops down here like so. So we can put that one in place here, and we're going to solder him in. So he's the last one. So black, red, and then the last remaining one. The last remaining one has a purple on it. Again, I think it's the only one that has a purple on it. That's the last one here. So like before, at this point here now, we have all of our items on board. We now need to put in our chips in here. Our chips are placed as follows. They also have a little semicircle on them, and those semicircle represents the semicircle in which that was here and here. So the shorter one, which is our 16 one, that slots down in here. Now you might, tiny bit, you might want to just push on the legs a touching to send them in, just a touching, so that they'll fit in here when you can slide it in place, and that should go down like that. Take your time. Again, here's our other one. I suggest what we do, a light touching, we'll roll our legs in the smallest bit, and we'll drop down the semicircle on the semicircle area here. And that goes into place there like so. All we've left to do then is to place in our power cable, a power snap here cable, alright, which we will leave till later on.